You ever stare at a photo that just crawls under your skin? That Polaroid. It ain't just a picture. It's a damn scream. Two people, duct-taped, wide-eyed, paralyzed by fear, sitting in the back of what looked like a beat-up van. It didn't say a word, but it told a whole story. And at the center of that story? Tara Calico. Now Tara wasn't the kind of woman you forget. Belen, New Mexico, small town, big heart, and Tara? She was the pulse of that place. Smart, headstrong, always moving like she had somewhere important to be. She was 19 in college, crushing her classes, juggling a job, and still finding time for those morning bike rides. Her mom, Patty, used to say Tara was like lightning, bright, fast, and impossible to catch. But on the morning of September 20th, 1988, she rode out and never came back. Routine ride. Same damn path. She told her mom she'd be home by noon for a tennis match. But noon came and went. Then one. Then two. Silence. Patty felt it deep, like a cold chill in her bones. She got in her car and drove Tara's route, empty road, quiet desert. The only thing she found? Pieces of Tara's Walkman and a tire skid, like someone hit the brakes hard. That's it. That was all that was left. Now here's the twist that messes you up. Tara had told her mom about a pickup truck. One that had been tailing her. Creepy-ass dude inside, dark windows, inching behind her bike on more than one occasion. She even joked, half serious, "If anything ever happens to me, look for that truck." Them. The cops? They dragged their feet. Typical. Said maybe she ran off, got tired of small-town life. You know, one of those young and restless theories. But her friends? Her boyfriend Jack? They weren't buying it. Tara had plans, internships, dreams of becoming a psychologist. She didn't just vanish. Search parties kicked up dust across every mile of Belen. Helicopters, dogs, neighbors combing the brush. Nothing. Not a single trace. Like she was swallowed by the earth. Then, months later, fate tossed a clue straight into America's lap. A woman in Port St. Joe, Florida, 1,200 miles away, walks out of a convenience store and sees a van parked there. What's in the window? That Polaroid. Duct-taped woman. Duct-taped man. Both terrified. The woman in the photo looked exactly like Tara. Same bone structure, same scar on her leg, same damn look in her eyes. That kind of haunted look that grabs you by the throat. Cops were called, but the van was long gone. Vanished. Like smoke. And that photo? It blew the case wide open. News spread like wildfire. TV, tabloids, late-night specials. Tara's family saw the picture and broke. Patty nearly collapsed. She was convinced that was her daughter. But opinions were split. FBI said maybe. Local cops weren't convinced. And of course, the skeptics came out of the woodwork, calling it a sick hoax or a prank. But Tara's family? They clung to that picture like it was their last breath. The guy in the photo, no one could ID him. Some thought it was another missing person, maybe linked. Others believed it was staged, part of some twisted underground operation. But the eyes, those damn eyes. You can fake a lot in this world, but not that look. That fear? That was real. Then came whispers. Not just about Tara, but about other women. A waitress in Gallup, New Mexico. A hitchhiker last seen near Truth or Consequences. A nurse's aide who vanished after leaving a late shift in Albuquerque. All gone. No notes. No explanations. Same profile, young, brunette, strong-willed. Pattern? You bet. Then the suspects started stacking. First, there were the Romero brothers. Local boys. Real pieces of work. One had ties to law enforcement, the other known for roughing people up in bar fights. Rumor was Tara had seen something, maybe a drug deal, maybe a beating, and they couldn't let her talk. Some said she was run off the road. Others claimed she was taken alive, stashed away somewhere. But when witnesses tried to talk, they backed out. One woman said she saw Tara shoved into a truck near the railroad tracks. She changed her story 2 days later. A guy came forward saying he helped the Romero boys bury something in the desert. Next thing, he accidentally shot himself cleaning a gun. Real convenient. It gets nastier. One ex-cop, retired by then, said evidence was tampered with. Tire impressions destroyed. Files missing. He filed a sworn statement saying the case stank of a cover-up. But the DA said it was too old, too messy, not worth pursuing. Meanwhile, the Polaroids kept showing up. In 1990, another one surfaced. Similar layout. Same van interior. Woman tied. Face bruised. She looked like Tara, but thinner, frilier. Like she'd been kept somewhere. Then in 1995, boom, another Polaroid. Different setting but same face. Always the same cold eyes. Always the same duct tape. Trophies? Messages? Or something darker? Some investigators believed the photos were part of a trafficking network. Evidence pointed toward the southwestern corridor, Arizona, New Mexico, Texas. Women were being snatched, moved, sold. And the Polaroids? Marketing tools. That's the theory. That Tara was taken, photographed, and passed around like merchandise. Horrifying doesn't even cover it. Then comes Grace Lopez. She dropped a bomb in 2011. Her sister Maria vanished in '88, same time as Tara. She was never reported missing because her family was undocumented, afraid to talk to police. Grace said she last saw Maria being pulled into a car at a gas station. The man? Older, grimy. Maria was crying, whispering, "Help me." No one stepped in. She said when she saw the Polaroid on TV, she dropped to her knees. Swore it was Maria in the background, out of focus. Like she'd been in the room when it was taken. Cops brushed it off. Said the image was too blurry. Can't prove it's her. And just like that, another potential victim fell through the cracks. Years dragged on. Tara's family never stopped. Patty wrote letters to congressmen, spoke at rallies, pleaded on national television. She said, "If they buried my daughter, I'll dig her up with my bare hands if I have to." That woman never quit, even when the leads dried up, even when hope was damn near gone. Then, 2003, a man on his deathbed in Denver tells a nurse he witnessed something back in '88. Says 2 men beat a woman unconscious and drove her out into the desert. Said she was alive, barely. That she begged for her life. The nurse reported it, but by the time police got there, he was gone. No name, no records. Just another ghost in this haunted story. Fast forward to 2019. Another whistleblower, this time a sheriff's deputy, delivers a handwritten letter to the Calico family. Says he was part of the original investigation. Said it was squashed from the inside. Claimed the Romero boys were involved, that they bragged about making the bike girl disappear. Said higher-ups told him to bury the lead. He signed an affidavit, turned it in. The DA refused to reopen the case. Said it was too old. The original Polaroid? Lost in evidence. Misfiled, destroyed. No one knows. All that remains are copies. Scans. Grainy ghosts of a nightmare no one wants to claim. Patty passed in 2006. Heartbroken. Empty. Her husband followed years later. What they left behind wasn't just grief, it was a burning question. What happened to Tara Calico? Was it a random abduction? Was it revenge? Or was it part of something way bigger? Something built to hide monsters in plain sight? Today, Tara's case is still officially unsolved. No arrests, no answers. Just a trail of whispers, shadows, and a photo that refuses to fade. But here's what we do know. Tara wasn't a runaway. She wasn't a rebel. She was hunted. She was seen as a threat. And someone, maybe more than one, wanted her gone. That's the story that lives inside that Polaroid. Not just pain, not just fear, but truth, bound, gagged, staring straight into the camera, begging to be believed. So next time you see a photo and feel that chill down your spine, trust it. Because evil? It doesn't always hide in the dark. Sometimes it drives a pickup in daylight. Sometimes it sits behind a badge. And sometimes it grins through a Polaroid and dares you to look away. But we won't. We can't. Not until Tara comes home. The Polaroid haunted the public. People taped it to their fridges, passed it around in bars, pinned it up in police precincts. It was more than a mystery, it was a challenge. A dare. Find her. if you can. But law enforcement? They were divided. The FBI sat on the fence, calling the photo plausible but inconclusive. Local cops, burned out or bought out, stayed quiet. But for those who loved Tara, silence wasn't an option. Her best friend, Melinda, started digging. She wasn't a cop, just a small-town girl with a big mouth and a sharper memory. She remembered the strange cars. The black van that parked outside Tara's house 2 nights before she vanished. The unfamiliar man who bought beer at the Circle K and stared a beat too long. Nobody had put it all together, until Melinda did. And then she vanished too. Just like that, gone. Her car was found 2 towns over, keys still in the ignition, driver's side door cracked open like someone left in a hurry. No signs of struggle, no witnesses. The sheriff called it unrelated. Said maybe she left town, maybe she needed space. But Tara's old boyfriend, Jack, didn't buy it. He knew Melinda had been close to something. Too close. Rumors spread like wildfire. Some said there was a group, men in law enforcement, men with money, running an operation out in the desert. Women went in. They didn't come back. People whispered about a compound past the county line, guarded by dogs, surrounded by cameras, like something out of a horror flick. Locals called it the quarry. One man, a rancher named Earl Hawkins, claimed he stumbled onto it while hunting coyotes. He said he saw floodlights, chains, something that looked like a cage. When he told the sheriff, he got raided for illegal firearms a week later. Got the message loud and clear: shut up or we'll shut you down. The Romero brothers kept showing up in those rumors too. Especially Tommy Romero, the mean one. The one who carried a silver Zippo engraved with the phrase, "No witnesses." He wasn't subtle. He'd been picked up for assault twice, but the charges disappeared like dust in the wind. Word was his daddy had pull. Owned half the junkyards from Belen to Las Cruces. Dirty money. Dirty hands. A woman named Felicia came forward next. Said she used to work at a roadside diner near where Tara disappeared. She remembered the Romeros pulling in, Tara's pink bike jammed in the bed of their truck. She swore she saw duct tape on the handlebars. But by the time police took her statement, she'd changed her story. Said maybe she imagined it. Problem was, Felicia was found dead a week later. Official cause? Suicide. Pills and booze. But her sister swore she was clean. She just landed a new job, bought a new dress, made dinner plans the day before. She wasn't suicidal. She was scared. And then there was the second photo. This one didn't make it to the evening news. It was slipped under the door of a motel manager in Deming, New Mexico. No note. Just the photo. A woman tied up in the corner of what looked like a trailer. Same duct tape. Same eyes. This time, her arm bore a fresh bruise, purple, raw. In the background, a man's boots. Cowboy style. Scuffed. Steel toe. The FBI quietly collected it. Said it was being reviewed. That was it. But the motel owner? He remembered something. A guest checked in that night under the name Reed. Paid cash. Stayed one night. Said he was heading for the border. Had eyes like ice, the owner said, and a stare that made my skin crawl. When asked to describe him, he said, big guy. Facial scar. Drove a black Bronco. New Mexico plates. Sound familiar? Jack, still chasing shadows, tried to trace the plate number. Got nowhere. DMV claimed it was expired. Records deleted. Another dead end. Meanwhile, the Calico family kept fighting. Patty started mailing that Polaroid to anyone who would listen. Senators, governors, crime shows. She wasn't just a grieving mother. She became a storm. And behind closed doors, she was putting pressure on anyone with a badge. She started documenting every inconsistency, every missing file, every lost piece of evidence. She kept it all in a red folder labeled Justice. Then in 2005, that folder went missing. Their house was broken into. Nothing stolen except that folder. No signs of forced entry. No prints. No leads. Just vanished. Like it never existed. But something else was bubbling under the surface. Something darker. A retired Border Patrol agent named Krane reached out to Tara's brother, Chris claimed he intercepted radio chatter in the 90s, cartel-related. Smugglers using remote routes in New Mexico. One group talked about cargo that screams. Said they moved it from safe house to safe house, mostly women. Some were sold. Some were filmed. Klein said the chatter mentioned the one with the scar. Chris froze. Tara had a scar. Same one visible in that Polaroid. He begged Klein to come forward. But Klein disappeared before he could testify. His house burned to the ground in what officials called a propane accident. Too many ghosts. Too many damn coincidences. Jack, still clinging to the pieces, started seeing patterns. He believed the photos were deliberate, messages, trophies, or worse, advertisements. Each one placed strategically, each surfacing when public interest in Tara started to die down. Like someone wanted to keep the wound open but never let it bleed out. He started calling the Polaroid sender the collector. Because that's what it felt like. Someone collecting fear. Collecting victims. Collecting memories no one asked for. In 2010, a man named Julian Ward, former photographer turned recluse, was picked up in Arizona on unrelated charges. Police found hundreds of Polaroids in his storage unit. Women. Bound. Bruised. Some dead. Some flat. Faces pixelated with time. But one photo matched the layout of the original Tara Polaroid. Same bedspread. Same tape. Same horror. Julian refused to talk. Lawyered up. Died in custody a year later. Heart attack, they said. And the photo? It was lost in transit. Every time someone got close, they vanished. Every time the story gained traction, someone buried it. Every time a victim spoke, she disappeared. Jack made one last desperate move. He hired a PI named Marcus Dell, ex-military, no-nonsense. Marcus spent 2 years combing the Southwest, interviewing ex-cops, retired truckers, barmaids, drifters. He said one thing kept coming up. They were hunting women who looked like Tara. Brunette, athletic. There was a pattern, a collector's type. And the Polaroids? Those were proof someone had her. Proof others were taken too. Maybe it started with Tara. Maybe it didn't. But it didn't end with her either. Dell compiled a dossier. Nearly 200 pages. Names, dates, locations, suspects. He submitted it to the DOJ. They thanked him and shelved it. Tara's case remains open but cold. A ghost file buried under bureaucracy. The public moved on, like it always does. But in the shadowy corners of the internet, in dusty police archives, in the minds of the broken families left behind, Tara's story still screams. Years had passed. The trail was colder than the desert at midnight, but for the ones who loved her, the silence screamed louder than any gunshot. Tara's mother, Patty, passed away in 2006. She died with Tara's photos still tucked in her purse, creased at the corners, worn soft from years of hope. On her nightstand, a note scribbled on a napkin, "They know. Don't stop." Chris Calico took up the torch next. He was different from his sister, less outgoing, more brooding, but when it came to justice, he was a wolf with its teeth sunk in the bone. He started working with victim advocates, pulling favors, tapping underground sources. That's when he got wind of something big. A private tip led him to an ex-con named Ray Dalton in Roswell. Dalton used to run with a crew that moved people, trafficking rings, blackmail ops, stuff that smelled like the underworld. When Chris found him, Dalton was already dying. Cirrhosis, belly like a basketball, breath like rust. Chris showed him Tara's photo, the one from the Polaroid. Dalton went pale. He didn't say her name, but he whispered something that hit like a pipe to the gut. The ranch north of White Sands. Check the root cellar. Then he died. Chris wasted no time. He called Marcus Dell, the private investigator. Dell had already been digging into that area, knew the ranch from rumors. Abandoned. Belonged to a guy named Curtis Greaves. No arrests on record, but a sealed lawsuit involving missing indigenous women back in '91. All hush-hush. They drove out there under cover of night. No backup. Just adrenaline and a crowbar. The place was a ghost town. Chain link fence rusted to hell, cattle shed caved in, weeds tall enough to hide a man. The main house was still intact, bare bones but solid. They found the root cellar behind it. Wooden hatch. Padlocked. Dell broke it open. The air that came up? Sour. Like mold and rot and something worse. They descended with flashlights, breathing through their sleeves. At the bottom, it widened into a concrete chamber. Cold. Damp. Silent. That's when they saw them. Photos. Hundreds of them. Laminated, categorized, stuffed into crates. Polaroids. Film stills. Some digital printouts. Every wall covered with maps. Pins. Strings. Notes scrawled in shaky handwriting. Eyes. Bite marks. Good posture. Some had stars. Some were circled in red. Tara's Polaroid was there. And not just one. 3 different shots of her. Same bed, different angles. Different levels of fear in her eyes. And behind her, always, the same shadow. A man. Just out of focus. Face hidden. But tall. But wearing the same pair of steel-toed boots. They called the feds. The ranch was swept. Evidence collected. Forensics teams spent weeks cataloging what they found. 48 confirmed missing persons matched to the photos. All women. Ages ranged from late teens to mid-30s. Some had been missing since the late 70s. But here's where the horror turns. There was a film reel too. Old school. Super 8mm. Labeled Collection 13. Authorities won't say what was on it. But one agent, off the record, said it made the Zodiac stuff look like a Disney movie. Still, no arrests. Greaves? Dead since 2012. Heart failure. Buried under a fake name in El Paso. No family. No known associates. But investigators believe he wasn't acting alone. There were fingerprints on the film canisters, none matching Greaves. Boot prints in the cellar didn't match his shoe size. DNA found on a rag near the Polaroids belonged to an unknown male. So the question remained, if it wasn't just Greaves, who else was involved? That's when the case took its final, bitter twist. A whistleblower inside the state police came forward. Said there'd been a cover-up for decades. Files redirected. Evidence misplaced. Anonymous donors funding special task forces that never existed. And, most damning, original suspects like the Romero brothers? They had friends in the department. One of them, Tommy Romero, later became a consultant on a private security firm tied to military contracts and human recovery logistics. Recovery. Logistics. People. The web was bigger than anyone had guessed. The ranch? Just a node. A dark corner in a much wider system of predators operating under the radar for decades. Using women like currency. Like trophies. And Tara? She was one of the first. Not the last. But hers was the face they kept. Because she was the one who fought back. Who left bruises. Who stared into the camera with defiance. Who made a photo famous. Her Polaroid didn't just show terror. It showed resistance. And that's why they kept it. To remind themselves of what it felt like when control slipped, even for a second. And maybe that's why it haunted us all. Because behind the fear, we saw strength. In the end, Tara's case remains open. But those who know the truth say it'll never be solved, not in court. Not with handcuffs. The system protected the guilty too well. But the story? The story survives. And that's something. Because every time someone sees that photo, they remember. Not just Tara, but Melinda, Felicia, the others who vanished trying to uncover the truth. The collector may still be out there, watching, waiting, but we're watching too. And this time, we're not looking away. You've been listening to Crimebot Chronicles. This was the story of Tara Calico, the 19-year-old who vanished without a trace, and left behind one of the most chilling unsolved mysteries. If this case hit you hard, share this episode. Someone out there knows the truth. And maybe, just maybe, your share might be the one that cracks it open. Make sure to hit subscribe, turn on notifications, and join us next time for another deep dive into true crime, where we uncover the stories that refuse to stay buried. Till then, stay safe, stay aware, and never stop asking questions.